Hey guys, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about the power of photography and of media in general, and maybe the responsibility that we as creators have. I'm Daniel Norton, photographer here in New York. This is a video about philosophy. So yesterday was a movement blackout, Tuesday, in solidarity for all the things that are going on here in the U.S. And one of the things that people who participated were asked to do was to put a black square or whatever, basically black out the media, don't put things that are taking away from what's happening, right? So that the idea is that you would be able to, without me posting a bunch of memes, you're going to be able to find the information, or the information is going to come to the surface that the people are putting out that's important to what's going on. And the second part of that was that, people were looking at more stuff, right? That was kind of the point of it. Like, I wasn't seeing a bunch of your memes, right? I was seeing information about what's going on. And through this, I watched a bunch of videos and interviews, and I also discovered through other photographers, some photographers that were on the front line. That were down there at various demonstrations, protests, and have been doing this stuff. Some of them are young. Maybe this is their first time doing it, or they're new to it. I don't want to say first time. I don't know enough about them to say that. But they're out there and they're doing it, And when I was looking at these feeds, as hard as it was to see some of the stuff that's happening, what I started to think about was the idea of, when you go to your main media sources, they're big corporations, right? They're slow moving. Not that the individual person doesn't want views, obviously, but they got to weigh everything they put up against. Is it going to get them more views? So the advertisers will advertise. Everything is a step, right? To get a company to do anything that's at all like radical, right? Like, as if this should be radical, is tough, And I also saw a lot of companies yesterday put up black squares with their logo in the middle. Yeah, that wasn't the point. It wasn't free advertising for you. The idea was that you were supposed to sit back and let things happen. Let the people that need to speak speak. It's their time to speak, not yours. Give them a platform if you can. But anyways, what it made me think was, as I was looking through these things, how raw and real and in the moment this stuff can be now, because we have Instagram, especially, which is where a lot of it. I'll put some links to photographers that I've started, and sadly just started following. I didn't have any knowledge of them before, but that's the way the world is, right? Because those people that have a gazillion followers are always going to get pushed onto you by Instagram, not necessarily the people that are down there doing the real work in the streets, right? So, I mean, some of these people have a decent amount of followers. Most of them have more than me. So, but I mean, they don't have millions, like people that are showing pretty pictures of landscapes in the Midwest, whatever. Anyways, that's a whole other video. My point here is that it's really interesting, right? Because if you are, let's say that you were a person and you were at a protest, let's say, I don't know, 15 years ago, and you saw some stuff happen. You could probably take some pictures, right? You could probably even try to get them into a newspaper or onto a site that might have them. But it wouldn't have the reach that it has today. Just the sheer amount of ability for somebody to be able to sit there with a camera. These people aren't like taking snapshots on their phone. I mean, these photographers are, I mean, maybe some of them use phones. I actually don't know what cameras they're using, but these look like they're, most of this stuff looks like it's shot with like longer lenses or shorter lenses or whatever, so it looks like it's not phone stuff. Anyways, I mean, some of the stuff is like videos on phone. Anyways, the phones allow you, like even this one that I'm using here, I could go out and shoot pictures and immediately send them to Instagram, to my phone, to Instagram, whatever. And that allows us to see things that we wouldn't necessarily have seen before. And I think this is huge because even if things are, because people will definitely argue that anytime you make a photo, you're making a choice, right? You're deciding what to show, right? There could be, whatever you want to put in the frame is what you put in the frame. It doesn't mean it didn't actually happen, but it means that you don't exactly know what's going on. And I'm no photo historian, but I've heard the argument before. There's a very famous picture. I kind of do a typical Daniel and go all over the place. The Vietnam War was the first time this really kind of happened, except it was the big news medias that were doing it. They were putting the war in people's faces, right? Because in past wars, you didn't really, you saw a little propaganda and it was like, oh yeah, America. And, you didn't really see it. In Vietnam, they showed some of the terrible, terrible things that happened in war, which I guess you could say it worked or didn't work, because it also caused many of the soldiers to be treated terribly when they got home. That's a whole other thing. But my point is that kind of started this, right? And this is the next level up, right? This war, right? That the people are fighting, this protest, this movement, this what's going on. The people are able to get in there and show things right away, right? They're able to show you what's going on, where the movement's happening, communicate with each other in a way that we could never do before. See the actual emotions and beauty, right? And also multiple pictures, right? It's not like, a newspaper only had so many places where they could put a picture, right? Instagram feed is forever, right? You can put a lot of pictures up. And I'm seeing people who do beautiful photo essays, less traffic, that are, multiple images together of a certain scene going on. And it's really beautiful. From a photography standpoint, it's really terrible from a human rights standpoint, or maybe it's great because people are doing something. But the thing is that we, as photographers, right, if you have a camera and you have this ability to do this, I wouldn't say it's your obligation, because it's not, because it might not be the thing you do, right? I'm not a photojournalist. I would not actively go to a protest and photograph it. I would, and have, and do, go to protests. I would bring my phone, maybe. It's not the thing I do, right? But if you are of that mind, right, that you want to bring truth, or you want to bring knowledge to the world, whether it's through long-term documentary photography or through spot photojournalism, that's a great and amazing calling. And I mean, I have so much respect for people that do that, and the fact that people can kind of not have to rely on some company to tell them, oh yeah, we're going to print what we want to print because this is what the advertisers want to see, and you can just put what you want out there, which is amazing. And this is kind of where I'm sidelining here. I'm glad I found these people, the photographers I've been finding on Instagram directly, because I had been seeing things occasionally pop up on Facebook, and then there'd be these, oh, but this argument. The thing is, yes, you're choosing what to photograph, but at the same time, things can be taken out of context. So to go directly to the source, this is the beauty of it. You can go directly to that photographer that took that picture and see the context of it, because oftentimes they've got a little story about it. I was doing this and this happened, and it's amazing. It actually gives you this like worldview that you could not have seen before. And I think a lot of times, we follow things that are beautiful, we follow things that are informational, we follow whatever we want to follow, right? But in times like this, going directly to the source, to the people that are actually in these places that are doing the protest, and seeing it through their point of view, which these photographers are really able to do, is amazing. And the fact that we have that ability is great. I think that it's one of the best things about things like that. As much as people, social media, this is what makes it powerful. The fact that people can disseminate information very, very quickly. And again, you've got to take it from where you get it from. And you have to keep in mind what's going on. But, there can be... there's no like truth, right? Like better, more truthful than a live video, right? I mean, somebody at this thing filming something is showing you exactly what's happening, right? And that is very powerful. And I think as photographers, if we're not the kind of photographer that makes that type of photo, like I don't shoot, like I said, I don't shoot documentary, I don't shoot photojournalism. we need to understand that that's an important part of our, we'll call it industry, and to support those people, especially now. You know, so what I'm going to ask is that if you follow people, on social media, especially, I think that's the easiest way for people to connect. And they are photographers and they are covering things that are happening. Specifically, I'm talking about what's happening right now in the U.S. with the Black Lives Matters and that stuff. But anything, this is it's the brave new world, right? This is where we can share this information. So if you've got somebody you follow that you think is a great photographer, that does a great job, that shows a certain worldview, go ahead and put it in the comments. I want to start following more people. This is what I want to follow on Instagram. I don't need to follow. I don't want to follow, somebody's, beautiful pictures of walking around the woods. I live that, right? What I want to follow is things that can inform me and teach me and move forward as people. That's what we should be doing. We should be growing, right? So it's not always comfortable, but I think it's necessary. We as photographers, not only if we are the type that are journalists or whatever, need to be out there covering these things and making the public aware of what's going on, especially independently, where we're not censored, I guess, for lack of a better word, by the fact that, advertisers, blah, blah. But also, we as photographers need to support those people that are doing that. They are kind of a huge backbone in our industry. It's one of the things that photography is best at, really. And when I say photography, I'm talking about video as well, media. It's amazing, to look at the stories, especially on Instagram. It really gives you this, this real feel, right? Because a photo is a photo, right? But when you see the moving picture, it can really set a tone. So I think that the combination, what we used to call multimedia, but I don't think they call it multimedia anymore. Mixing things together to create, basically what is a platform of art. Art of information gathering and information sharing. So go ahead and, again, share in the comments any photographers you think that are worth following, any news sources, any information you have. Because it's got a link in it, the comment will be blocked, but I will approve it once I look at it and make sure that it's not a bot sending porn sites, because that I don't want. So in any case, I'll see you soon.